Hello, I'm Peter Orker of Peter Orker Piano Tuition, and welcome to today's Tuesday tutorial. Now, if you've been following this, you will know this is the third tutorial in a set which is dealing with Mozart's Rondo in A minor, Kirkel number 511, and if you haven't already done so, you might want to check out the other two, because we're kind of landing in the middle of the piece today. A rondo, of course, is a piece of music in sections, and we label each section with a letter of the alphabet. Section A, section B, section C, and so on. Section A comes back at key points during the entire work, but the other sections are single episodes, and they don't recur. So today it's the turn of section C. Now, interestingly, although Mozart so often does this, the piece starts off fairly, almost light-heartedly, almost playful in a way, but as the music progresses it gets more and more sort of meaningful, sometimes darker as well in mood, and certainly as well, although it starts off, you think, oh, it's quite a simple piece of music, as the music progresses it gets harder and harder technically as well. That's something you need to be aware of. Don't forget, this is actually a diploma standard piece. It's on the LTCL diploma syllabus certainly, and I think it may be on some of the other exam boards diploma syllabuses as well. So section C is where it does quite get seriously tricky in terms of technique, and it's also quite a long section. It's 40 bars long, so quite a lot to contend with. Now, the overall key of the piece is A minor. It's Rondo in A minor, but for section C, Mozart chooses to put it into a major key, and rather boldly, although it doesn't sound bold at first when you think about it, and quite boldly goes into the tonic major. So in other words, it goes from A minor to A major, and as I said, that doesn't sort of sound like it's going to be much of a bold move, but A major is actually quite far away from A minor in terms of tonality. It has 3 sharps, whereas A minor had no sharps. And in fact, the relative minor, the one we might expect a composer to go to if he wants a section that's in a major key, the relative major for A minor is C major. So it doesn't sound jarring or anything, but it is quite a bold harmonic move to go into the tonic major, in other words A major, with its 3 sharps. And when it starts, it's quite sunny, and then the chromatic notes start coming in. Now, in this section, as I said, it's quite long. It's actually 40 bars or so. I've identified no less than 8 what I call AC moments. In other words, that's short for awkward corners. And I mark these in my score: AC1, AC2, and so on. These are bits where you might be in danger of slipping up, or they're bits where you might need to do some quite serious extra practice just on those chunks. Okay, so I'm going to go through each of these ACs separately, so that you can get an idea of what's involved. As this is quite a long section, I'm not going to play the section in its entirety. I'll play the entire work in the next video with a commentary. But for now, we're just going to kind of pull it to pieces first. So my first AC, if you like, is this little section here. So it's quite near the beginning of the section, but it's this little passage. Now, at first, listening to that, you might think, oh, it's just going up and down the scale, which it sort of is, but there are these elements of diatonic scale and chromatic scale sort of mixed together, and he does that a lot. So AC1, what you need to do is get hold of that key. It looks like it's going into E major at first, if I do it slowly, with that D sharp. So you're doing 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. So your thumb needs to come onto the E there, and then you've got this where it seems to get a bit stuck, and then we have pretty much a pure E major scale coming down, and then some chromatic figurations at the end. The other thing about this is that you've got that in the articulation, it starts off staccato, which needs quite a light touch, and when you hit that bit, it's slur 2 of the all triplet semiquavers, by the way. So you're doing this, the first two slurred, the third one staccato, and then all staccato again. Just a little bounce. Then when you hit this bit, those chromatic bits are smoother and played legato. So there's quite a lot in that. At first you think, oh, it's just some scale stuff. But there is quite a bit in it. And of course, as well, something to remember is that it's broken now into triplet semiquavers. And so many people don't get those semiquavers even. So you get kind of... maybe not as uneven as that, but you tend to get one quaver to semiquaver sort of feel, or worse. Oops. That sort of da da dum da da dum da da dum. But what we need is da 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 da. So that's my awkward corner number 1. Now, awkward corner number 2 involves some playing in thirds, which is always can be a challenge. So you get this little bit here. So it's only a couple of bars, but that's something that can trip people up if you're not prepared for it. It's true to say that by and large the episodes, in other words the B and C section, are not, they are individual to themselves. They don't refer to each other, if you see what I mean. But here's where Mozart actually takes that little idea from the A section. Da da da, just the rhythm really, and that sort of grace note, or 3 grace notes. So you can kind of recognise that as reminding you, at least, if it's not an exact quote, but it reminds you at least of the beginning of the movement. So it forms a bonding uh, mechanisms so that you're reassured that this is part of the same piece. It's not completely different. But technically you've got your thirds, first in the right hand, and the challenge is keeping those notes exactly even in tone and even together. So spend plenty of time getting that, really listen hard to yourself and make sure that those notes are exactly together and that they're exactly the same amount of tone. And then the left hand kind of echoes that. If you're struggling with those thirds, then to start with, just take out the grace notes and just practice. And then put and then it should all, with some practice, should all come together. The next awkward corner, AC3, is a little melodic bit actually, just in right hand, well there is left hand. Okay, it's this little leap here. So it's really only a group of, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 notes. But those 11 notes, I've seen people really trip up on that. So the first thing is the leap. So you've got an octave leap first, and then that note is repeated, and then a leap of a fourth. So that's something you just pull out and practice. It's getting that movement there. So you're doing 1, 5, and change to 1. So it's moving from 5 to 1 on one note. It's not a natural kind of feel, so that's not easy to do. But then immediately after that, you've got this. It's almost quite melodic rather than decorative. And again, as so many of these things, the key is in having a really sensible scheme of fingering, and maybe even write it in. I'm a big advocate of writing fingering numbers in, as any of my private pupils will tell you. I'm quite picky about that. We get a pencil and we write all the fingers in. So that's like awkward corner 3. Awkward corner 4 is actually very similar to that those triplets, but this time they're in the left hand. So same sort of idea. Again, it's because it's in the left hand, it does feel a bit more awkward. So plenty of slow practice is your friend here. And like the right-handed version, it's kind of a mixture of a diatonic scale, this time A major. In fact, it's a whole scale of octaves of A major there. And then it continues a bit, and then we get chromatic. So once again, the important thing is to get that fingering really, really secure, and I would recommend that you do plenty of very slow practice. Firm fingers, push down hard into the key. You're kind of teaching your fingers the notes. They are servants, and you are teaching those fingers to play the correct notes. And that's only going to happen with repetition and plenty of just left hand practice, and do it slow to start with, and just gradually increase the speed. So that's awkward corner 4. Awkward corner 5 comes pretty much straight after that, actually, and it's this little run here in the right hand. Now, the notes themselves, it's just a chromatic scale starting on E sharp. Remember, that's the same as F. And you just go up the chromatic scale. The tricky, it's not that tricky, but in the heat of the moment when you're playing the piece, you can easily lose the pulse here. It's very easy to do that. So it's very precisely notated. It's not just a flourish. So you've got triplet semiquavers to start with, but the first one is a triplet semiquaver rest. So if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 3. So it comes in on the 2 and the 3. That's can catch you out. Fortunately, to just kind of steady yourself, just before that, there's a note from the left hand, so you can come straight in after that. Just gives you that little bit of a kick to get onto that. But then it's two sets of triplets, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it goes into demi-semiquavers. So it's semiquaver triplets first, then demi-semiquavers, 3 sets of demi-semiquavers till you reach the top A, then finally another set of triplet semiquavers. So just count it out carefully, slowly at first. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, just in twos like that will be fine. Just as long as you've got the beat. You don't even have to count numbers. You can just go boom, boom. Maybe just so you're going. Okay, and as up to speed, obviously it does sound a bit like just a flourish, but it really does need that precision of timing there. Oh, we're getting there. Got 2 more to go. AC6, awkward corner 6. Right, once you've done that flourish going up, you then get this passage. Now, sorry, a couple of wrong notes in there. It's a while since I've played this, if I'm honest. Now, here is, it kind of does things to your brain, this, because it's so chromatic and you need such precision of notes. So what I'd advise here really is just to get thoroughly familiar with playing diminished seventh broken chords. They're going to really help there. In the left hand, it just kind of supports all of that harmony, and then it starts sliding down chromatically. It's got its own diminished seventh triads. Into the next little bit. So that bit's quite... It's also marked forte appassionato. So you can sort of let rip on that one if you want to. So that's awkward corner 6. So that's definitely something that will need a bit of attention to get that exactly precise, exactly right. So there's 2 more awkward corners to go. The next one is, again, it's another of these string of triplet semiquavers, and it's in the left hand this time, and it's sort of a chromatic scale, but every now and then the chromatic scale sort of loops back on itself. So you get a bit of scale, goes back. It's a bit like you know, that old cliche: 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You know, it's that kind of feel. So you've got all of this going on to get to there, and then you have to go back to there. Then you carry on, and then you go back. So that's just something that needs a bit of attention there. And finally, we've reached awkward corner number 8, AC8. And this is another set of semiquaver triplets. It's all in left hand. I have seen pianists alternate hands, but actually for me that doesn't particularly work. It might do for you, it's worth trying out. But it's highly chromatic and you really have to keep an eye on the notes. You've got got B, F double sharp, G sharp, E, A sharp, B, G sharp, D sharp, E, B, F double sharp, G. So you've got double sharps in here just to add to the mix. E, A sharp, B, G sharp, D sharp, E. And then it seems to get sort of a bit stuck. You get 3 of those. Now I play that 4 on G sharp, 2 on D sharp, and 1 thumb on the E. So you've got that tucked under. So it's 4 2 1 4 2 1 4 2 1. Which, if you're not careful, you can come on come off the rails there, but not if you've done plenty of slow practice. And then you go A, E, F, A, E sharp, F sharp, A, E sharp, F sharp, B flat, F sharp, G, B natural, F double sharp, G sharp, B, F sharp, G sharp, C natural, G sharp, A, C. Now you can feel how this is rising in semitones until we're back in A minor for the last statement of section A. So all of that bit along there with right. Most people play just right hand. I have seen it played with both hands, alternating hands. I tend to play this. It goes back into that. So that's an awkward corner too. So that's our 8 awkward corners, or ACs as I call them. However, next week is a bank holiday, so I'm taking a little break. So there won't be one next Tuesday. Okay, so don't worry if you have a look on the Facebook page on Tuesday and think, oh, he hasn't uploaded one this time. It's only because I'm having a break. So don't worry about that. I'll be back the following Tuesday. Well, with that, I'm going to say have a good 2 weeks. And by that time, you'll be whizzing along on on section C. And practice the others as well, A and B. And we are kind of getting there now, aren't we? We're nearly at the end of this particular one. It's the most trickiest one of the pieces we've done so far in this tutorial series. And I'll stop rabbiting on now and let you get on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.